Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reefy's Fuck Talking Bollocks episode. And I'm now going to have to double check because I said the wrong number last week. Episode 12. I had to edit it out. I don't know if anybody noticed. This week is on fish quarantine. So let's hold back on the coral quarantine because Mike B would like to do a specific coral quarantine one. And I think he might be working on a presentation. Anyway, even if he wasn't, he fucking has to now. So,
Set him up for it.
no pressure, Mike. So yeah, will I do what I normally do and just go down the screen and or will I start this week?
Like precursor, this is just what we do.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, quarantine can be a fucking like lightning rod with people like, you didn't do it right, you didn't do it. That's not real quarantine. So fuck them. Like, this is just what we do.
Has anyone tried?
Right?
Has anyone tried?
Yeah,
what I do?
absolutely.
Has anyone tried what I do, which is literally putting every individual fish when you buy it in a condom?
Shrink wrapped.
That's it.
That's how you smuggle them home.
You vacuum seal it too?
And he boofs it. Why he puts them in the condom.
Boops it.
It's one of the
Big
biggest
boof.
things
Get it
you
to
guys
Canada.
have educated me on is the word boof. There's a few things you guys
Keister?
have educated me on, but keister.
Well, unfortunately, the master boofer isn't here today, so it's working.
No.
Jordan's the master boofer.
Well, this has started well. So in terms of
Well,
quarantine,
and the beauty of language, Ron, is keister can be a noun and a verb.
to keister.
To keister. Or not to keister.
I thought a keister was just a bumhole, no?
Yeah, but it's also a verb of
It's
keistering.
also, yes,
Keistering.
Yeah.
it's the same as boofing, just a different,
Yeah.
Oh,
I've got a
different way.
Fucking clue what you guys are talking about.
well, lucky for you, Rob. You're the
Every day's a school day. I've just learnt 2 new words.
It's when you put things in your prison pocket.
have a rummage around inside my prison pocket. It's in there somewhere.
That's it.
Ron, do you have one of those, like, what are those movie clipboard things, like when they start a new scene?
Oh,
Just so you know, like
yeah.
the little clapboards.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I actually do have one at home. I've got one at home. Yeah. For making home
Let
movies.
us get it out of our system, and then, okay, take 2.
Yeah, so I'm not going to edit this. You can have all your bumhole keisters and boofs all in here. So anyway, on the subject of quarantine, my quarantine procedure has completely changed. So I did what everybody did on the internet. I bought a reasonably big tank, which is one thing that a lot of people actually make the mistake. Oh, I'll get a tank the same size as the fucking fish. Terrible idea. Because they don't want to have to change so much water. But anyway, so I got a 200 litre tank. I put gutter pieces in it for the fish to hide in, all the rest of it. And I just kept losing fish. Not because the fish came in sick, not due to parasitic issues, nothing like that.
Front door doorbell.
We've got guests. We've got guests.
Oh, bring them on the show, Rob. Bring them on the show.
No, she's not allowed in my office. It's too fast.
Stay out of the grow room. So
What are gutter pieces, Ron?
gutter. So what do you call them? So water comes down your roof. Goes in-
So the PVC, like downspout elbows and
It's
stuff.
myself.
And okay, cool. Because around here, most of those are aluminum.
yours are
Yeah,
yours are
those-
made of aluminium.
Yeah, most
no,
of the
yeah,
gutter
I got
pieces
it
around
made
here
of
is like,
Jason's breathing like a fucking dragon.
Hey Beth, you've joined us at an interesting time. I would like to say we've started, but
We've started
Why am I
something.
not surprised?
So Rob has people coming to his door every 30 seconds. Jim has slugs eating his petunias. Anyway, so I bought a reasonably large tank and I was using downpipe UPVC pieces for fish to hide in, and the fish just kept dying. Like I said, not due to white spot, velvet, any other issues. The fish just kept on dying and I had no idea why. So eventually I kind of stopped buying fish. I then got fish from another supplier and they kept coming in so clean. What I did was I had live rock in the system, popped the fish in, and it then became just keeping an eye on the fish. So it was an observation tank, not a quarantine tank. And I'm going to touch wood here, not my penis, and say, since then, I have not had a fish with any parasites, and I have not lost a fish during quarantine procedure. So it's a full-blown reef tank with just a couple of bits of live rock from the shop tank that I've had in my possession now for probably 8-9 years. Now, the problem starts with this. This is great for the animals. However, if I do buy a fish and it does show signs of white spot, then that entire situation completely changes and gets so much more complicated. Because if I treat with copper, it goes into the rock. And I mean, at the moment, I've got like 60 corals in there. So it's not really even an observation tank anymore. It's an overflow system with dosers and all sorts of shit. But back to the quarantine.
So did you put those new fish you just got in that tank?
Yeah.
That's a coral tank now. That's not a quarantine.
But
you got that like 1 foot Lobo in there, and
yeah, but see that the supplier I'm now getting my fish from, again, I'll touch wood. The fish are so clean and healthy. I'm just looking at observations now. Mr. Taters, do you have a question?
Yeah, from a quarantine perspective.
Yep.
Is there any downside to having fish in a system that has coral in it? I mean, limits your medication choices, but from a pathogen or disease perspective, is the waiting it out period still the same?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what the crossover would be there. Maybe actually Rob would be able to join in on that section of the conversation. But for me, yeah, basically it's an observation tank until shit hits the fan. If I see a fish that is ill in that system, that entire system then becomes completely compromised. Yeah, so the plan is more coral systems specifically, and that tank then rolls back to full quarantine. So no corals, but I will still run it with live rock until shit hits the fan. Because that is definitely better for fish that come in not parasitized. So I know it's a really weird, I'm not saying this is right. It has worked for me up until now.
So I do similar. So have you gotten to the point where you have an oh shit moment with the fish in there?
No.
You haven't gotten to that point.
No.
So that then brings you
almost,
that would bring you back to stage one of setting up a completely separate system. You'd be fucked with all those corals for a long time, and you'd be scrambling.
Yeah.
Throw a rock in a tank and see if you can throw some meds on this fish.
Oh yeah, I am under no circumstances saying that this is a good idea to have corals in a system, but I don't want corals in that, and it's purely for space. Moving forward, adding more actual coral systems in, now that I'm selling corals, that will become purely a quarantine system again. But again, I would leave it with live rock.
International coral retailer.
Yeah, you always plug Great Lakes Coral and JB Aquatics, and you never plug
myself. Are you about to say I never plug myself?
Yeah, you never plug yourself. Where's fucking Brandon with the plug intro?
Jeffrey Dahmer and the plugs. He's so bizarre, but I fucking love the guy. He's amazing. He
Yeah.
has found his
Bizarre
home
he
here.
is.
He has found his home here. So yeah, that is my quarantine situation currently, and it's only because I am getting such clean fish now. I don't think I would buy another fish from my local fish store, and I love to bits the owner of my local fish store. He's such an amazing guy. You've never met a more helpful guy that will give you all the time in the world. But I have had some bad luck with some of his fish. Whether that's his fault or not, I don't know.
Are you referring to the tank right behind you?
No, that's
Oh,
not
I'm like,
quarantine tank.
no.
That's an impressive quarantine tank.
Holy fuck! The guy's on a
Wait,
RAF
Rob, have you not-
quarantine tank.
Rob, have you not seen his real quarantine tank?
No.
Oh Jesus, Ron, get mobile. Fuck, that thing's not a quarantine tank.
It's definitely not. When he told us it was a quarantine
It's
tank, we're like, what the
glamorous.
fuck?
It's
Not it.
glamorous. It's got like 70 corals in it.
It's
Full
full
of
of coral.
$500
I mean,
lobos.
full of coral.
Why are you calling it a quarantine tank then?
Because it fucking is. It's my quarantine tank. It's
It's
just
an observation tank.
well,
Yeah.
But you should say it was my quarantine tank. Was.
things
Before you
have
put
evolved.
thousands of dollars worth of corals in it, it was a quarantine tank.
Now it's just
No,
to
it's not.
roll the dice and put
$26.
fish in it. Take hope they're not sick.
Right.
Reefing professional.
So you don't have any fish in that quarantine tank?
Oh yeah. There's a permanent pair of clowns, and at the moment there is that powder brown which I bought as a gold rim. And
So if a fish is in there permanently,
Is
is it just a fish tank?
It's just a fish tank.
it's just another fish tank, isn't it? It started life as a quarantine tank, and it has evolved.
So you throw quarantine fish with existing fish you have in
Two
the tank.
two clowns. Yes.
Unquarantined fish.
Yes.
You just throw fresh
Ron,
fish
I'm
straight
giving
in
you
there.
shit.
And what
Yeah.
are the clowns hosting?
These nuts.
hosting Brooke.
Host,
Yeah, right.
So since putting corals in that
The
system,
fucking clowns are a host. They actually are.
since putting corals in that system, I think I have bought maybe 5 fish. And touch wood, they've all been free of parasites. Great.
What is touch wood? Is that
Yeah,
knock on wood?
how often do you do this? Touching your wood.
It's like knock on wood, but you
It's
know,
like
it's
knock
the
on
Scottish
wood?
version.
Oh,
It's
so
different when you're
it's kinda like
Scottish.
do-a-poo?
Is it
Yes,
is it-
exactly, Beth.
Okay, got it. Makes sense now.
I'm just watching Rob's face. Rob's like, I am not joining another one of these.
Yeah, I guess that would mean something different.
Yeah.
Well, you can't see my hands, can you?
Right.
And you think this is holding the microphone. Anyway. So people have actually jumped around the screen. So the order's actually changing. So Russ, A, do you have a quarantine system? And B, if you do or have had, how do you quarantine?
I do not currently. In the past, I did. I had, gosh, what was it, like a 165 gallon tank or so with it was mainly fowler, like a purple tang, tuskfish, lionfish, other stuff like that. So I brought them in one at a time, just as I found them. And I think it was like a 20 long or something. And this was, 10 plus years ago. Same thing, instead of gutter parts, I used PVC elbows. Same thing, give them someplace to hide, and then not knowing what I was doing, but internet experting, where, a dash of methylene blue, splash of Prazi Pro, a pinch of this, pinch of that. Basically just try to poison a fish for a few weeks until it survived, and then into the main tank with you. So I don't remember killing anything specifically, but it has been a long time. So I remember stuff dying in the main tank over time, but nothing specifically in quarantine.
So if you were to go
Now
out and buy a new fish today, let's say, what would you do?
I would buy it from some place that does aquaculture and then YOLO, toss it in the tank.
I really
Got a
appreciate the
UV
honesty.
sterilizer, got a hopefully what I think is a healthy-ish tank. So I like throwing in a bunch of fish at once. So I'm aside from that coral beauty that I added a few months ago, I don't see myself adding any fish for a while.
I never know when Russ is finished talking. Normally his mute comes on instantly, and I've just and then it goes. He's so quick with the mute. Oh, he's turning it on and off now. You fucker.
Yeah.
Okay. I really
So
appreciate
I'm gonna
the
just
honesty.
start trailing. No, I'm a big fan of aquaculture, captive bred stuff. I would like to think those places have disease somewhat better under control than plucking a fish out of the ocean. I used to run ozone, I run UV. So yeah, if stuff shows up and looks okay in the bag, I mean, no obvious issues, float it in the sump, make sure it looks good, and then into the tank.
Yeah, I think that works quite well for a lot of people. Before I actually got a quarantine tank, I threw the dice for a couple of years, and I had so many fish, and every single one survived. I then got the big velvet outbreak, wiped everything out. I then set up a quarantine tank, and that's when I started losing fish. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one.
Stupid fucking hobby.
It really is. It really is. Oh, Rob's just
Yeah,
learned
and-
that this week. That's 3 things you've learned.
I did, yeah. I was about to say, so it's not so fucking horny. Which I was going, that's a strange response. I was sat there for ages going, no, I've got nothing. And once that's in my head, I was like, that's weird.
Guys, I've lost all my fish. Everyone, super horny. Super fucking
And that's when he comes in. That's when he comes in thinking about us because he's trying to relate it to us. SFH, these guys. What the?
That's it. Yeah. But that's the kind of response I'd expect from you guys. That and all my fish are dead. Did you taste the water? Which is now my new QT method. Yeah, tastes fine. Chuck it in.
Should do a video on it, Rob. That would be. Wait for April Fools though.
Set up a flight of tank water.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, Jim. Let's talk quarantine with you.
Okay. Well,
I like your
you
shirt,
walked
Jim. I
basic-
like your shirt.
You like my shirt?
I do.
Cool.
Father's Day gift.
Oh,
So
nice.
I did very similar to you. Like I bought a 29-gallon to quarantine. I experted really hard. I guess one of the things I learned was if you're gonna quarantine hard, you got to get the medications on hand. I would watch the fish and be like, "Oh shit, is this? I got to order something right now, and it's going to be 2 days, and that's too late usually when a fish gets sick like that." But so I had a 29. I set it up, just threw in some PVC elbows, a heater, and a bubble filter, and tried to do a 30% water change every day to keep the nitrates down and ammonia down, and I just kept I didn't kill all my fish, but I did kill some. I did try and, throw copper in there, and it was next to impossible to keep copper levels up while doing 30% water changes daily. So that was a complete pain in the ass. I'm like, I don't know, I couldn't really measure. I wasn't getting good measurements on the copper, and this copper only measures with this, and this copper, measures with that. And it was like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
all
how
this
long
shit?
ago was this, Jim? Because it sounds like we read some. It sounds like we followed the same Reef Central recipes.
It's probably a BRS. I don't remember who I followed, but it was probably 6 years ago. Before that, I just YOLO'd the fish into the tank, and
Yeah, because I
but
mean,
when I had my
using it, at least now there's like copper Hannah eggs, right? At least now
yeah,
that's something to shoot for compared to the old tests.
I had some little like egg tray looking thing with little dime sized, you know, half spheres that water went into, and you dropped some shit in and tried to measure the blue color in it. It didn't fucking work. I had no clue how much copper was in my tank. So even if I got through quarantine with a whole 30-day copper treatment, I couldn't trust it. So I went through
It's like a scene from a war movie in the draft, and they're just shooting up all these teenagers with every known medicine, every possible vaccine.
right?
Just
Right.
who cares about the consequence? Just load them up, immunize them against everything.
The thing is though, I learned a lot. Like I learned what really not to do. I learned what fish handled this and that. Like I was able to focus taking care of new fish by whatever species fish they were better, because I didn't just accept that I was killing fish. I kept reading and learning and reading and learning to figure out, how to take care of these fish when I got them correctly. And like I got a batch of, 14 little blue chromies, and I treated them totally different. Like I quarantined them, but not a full quarantine. I had the tank set up 2 weeks before I got the fish. I took a big piece of rock from my main display sump and threw it in there. Made sure I fed the tank a little bit to keep everything going in there. And I said, okay, now I've got a biological filtration system. I threw the chromies in there. Um, I didn't go straight to copper. I focused. Excuse me. I focused on the diseases that those chromies usually have, which is urinoma. So I paid attention to urinoma. I got Metro, I got Prazi, I think GenCure has Prazi in it, so I was using that, and I did a 3-week treatment of that, while in like an observation, looking for any signs, excuse me, of urinoma, and they all made it through quarantine fine. So I still got 7 of them in my main display. No, I think I had 11, and I have 7 still. 4 of them I didn't feed enough in my main display, and they ended up dying. But so I feel I properly quarantined those fish, and then that 29-gallon tank. My display was full. Quarantine is hard. Observation is hard. And I just gave up. Like, I don't want to add any more fish to my main display. I had a bunch of anemones from an old tank I took down with two little Solaris clowns, and I threw them in that quarantine tank with some rock, and that turned into my I barely do fucking shit tank. So now I just got that file fish, try and eat some Aptasia, and I chucked it into the I barely do fucking shit tank because I'd rather lose those 2 clowns than my whole tank. I threw it in there. I watched it for 4 weeks. Sorry, and it looks great. And I moved it to my frag tank now, where it can be in the parameters of my main display, but not fighting or not having to worry about 25 other fish. So So I've kind of morphed. I mean, I'm almost identical to you, Ron. Like I dumped it into my quarantine,
Yeah.
which is a fucking full blown reef tank with two clowns.
Two clowns.
And I observed the shit out of it for 4 weeks. Same thing. I've got one fish store. Every fish I've one out of probably 25 fish has made it. And they do quarantine and have their fish in copper and all this other shit. My other fish store that just fucking YOLOs his fish. I think I've lost 1 out of 30 fish from him. You know? So I don't know. So Ron, I'm just in the same boat as you.
Yeah, like
Observation is huge.
Bizarrely similar though.
Yeah.
That's a wee bit spooky.
Yeah, 2 clowns. The only thing else, I got a mandarin in there. The mandarin's in that tank because it was eating all those little red bugs.
That's so interesting, but you know that this. So that is that 3 out of 3 are YOLO so far? I think so. Yeah. So top row of people on my screen, YOLO. Now.
Yeah, but I would not YOLO into my main display.
No.
Not a chance.
Nope.
Not a chance.
No, I totally agree with you there. I'm not rolling that dice. I know Russ is, but I'm not doing that. No.
Yeah. Nope.
I do it every time.
Not gonna do it.
You're a YOLO bet. Oh, hold on.
I am now.
Oh.
Oh, she's got Great Lakes Coral who fucking does a full blown quarantine on fish.
Yes.
Great Lakes Coral.
I just get the fish.
in
I
Michigan.
just get the fish there now. Yes.
The
and
famed Great Lakes coral in Petoskey.
yes. The one who's not here.
Yeah, where the
fuck is he?
That's 2 weeks in
I
a
don't know.
row.
I know.
He's
They had something going on yesterday, family, but they opened a little later, but I don't know about today. I don't know.
It would be really interesting to hear his quarantine procedure. That's all I mean, because the guy's doing such an incredible job with his business.
Well, I know I had to wait. I had to wait like a month to get my leopard RAF. So, but it's doing amazing.
Because he killed the first 18.
No.
I am just joking.
First 30.
I am just joking.
I know.
Right, Jason, you're next down the screen, and I'm gonna roll the
YOLO,
dice.
bitch.
Yes!
YOLO. You already know.
Okay,
No,
so-
I think it's LAZY.
Oh well, there's that too.
Yeah.
So if you went and bought a fish today, Jason, you'd come.
No,
home.
I actually think right now, because I'm pretty happy with said tank and I haven't put anything in it in so long. I have a 10-gallon out there because I buy everything. You know, all my fish that I buy are tiny because small system. So I've got a 10-gallon sitting in the garage that I could throw together at least something for observation, which is I think what I would do if I went and bought a fish right now. I think I would do that. I have all the stuff to set it up and get it going. So, but up until now, absolutely into the tank. There you go, and hope for the best.
So you would never. So if you did set up your 10-gallon in the garage, and you went.
Well, no, I put it in here, but like I have the tank sitting there.
So if you brought it home, filled it with water, would you medicate or would you just watch?
I would just watch. I'm gonna tell you completely honestly here. I have no idea about medicating fish. So I mean, I have some stuff here just in case, but
they're probably expired anyways, so there's no point.
You already know. You already know.
Jason, I am going to post you a doctor badge, and then that is you're going to be a professional on fish illness and treatment, a professional, an expert. So I'll post that for you. So next 10 days, doctor baby.
Doctor. Yes.
Get some rubber gloves.
Don't argue it. Just take it. Just take
Hey,
it.
like
it'd be
like
rude
I said,
to argue with somebody.
The only doctor you need right there. Ron's the only doctor you need.
Dr. Feelgood.
I wonder.
No wonder he's always touching his wood.
Touching wood.
I don't know where my doctor's badge is.
You've lost your doctor's badge. Oh,
It's
no.
been struck off.
Struck off.
Scientist.
Touching wood. Right. Fuck. I don't know what I don't know what I've done. Oh, it might be on my lab coat.
Ah.
Yes,
Among other things.
I was in surgery this morning, so it's okay. It was just a very, very quick circumcision, and then straight back to work. And I can tell you, it was a phenomenal success.
You threw the big bit away, yeah?
Yes, it's quite handsome. Quite handsome. Anyway,
before or after?
I'm thinking of pigs and blankets now. Is that
Please don't.
Okay, Jason, that was quick.
That's what she said.
Huh.
Rob, moving on to you. What I am genuinely really intrigued to what your procedure is.
Well, I do hybrid tank transfer. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
No?
Just
Yeah.
give us it all on the plate.
Well, so basically, I mean, obviously I experted the hell out of it as well when I started. And you've kind of got three routes. You can use chloroquine phosphate, copper, or tank transfer. So I don't know how difficult it is to get chloroquine phosphate in the States, but over here it's a pain in the arse. So you have to basically lie to your doctor, tell him you're going to somewhere malarious, exclude all the other drugs that they want to give you, which is what I did. I went, oh no, I'm allergic to that one, that gives me hallucinations, so you need to give me chloroquine phosphate. So
you tell him you're going to Birmingham.
That's it, yeah. I just going into town on the train, it's good enough.
I'm going to go up.
But the other problem with chloroquine phosphate is you can't measure it, so there's no test for it. So if you make up a batch, you don't know if it's degraded over time, you don't know if your bacteria is taking it out. So I didn't use it. I thought, no. Copper over here, we can't get chelated copper, which is what you guys use in the States. Copper power, I think you use. We can buy it, we have to import it, and it's absolutely extortionately expensive. I don't know if you used it, Ron?
No, the only copper I've ever used is cupramine.
Which is harsh. And the other thing with copper, there's certain fish you can't put through it. I know some rash. That's scratchy rash.
I've got an ointment for that. let me get my doctor's coat on.
Is the copper power just not available there, or is it restricted?
It's not available. It's not sold. So I don't know what the regulations are on it. I can buy it on eBay or whatever and get it imported. I don't know whether they'd confiscate it if they actually opened the package and saw what it was. I don't know.
That was my next question. If somebody sent you a bottle, because I mean it's pretty cheap here.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know if customs would destroy it.
Yeah, it was £50 for a bottle. I don't know what you guys pay, but what's that? $70 or something?
It's dirt cheap here.
Yeah.
$12 for a little bottle.
Yeah, so I don't know why, but so anyway, yeah. So I decided that I would go down the tank transfer method, and the main reason is because I can do all of the fish through the same method. So if you've got copper, there's certain fish you can't put through it. So I just thought, if I can get good at one technique, then I can put everything through the same system. So that's what I chose to do. So every single fish you see in my tank has been through that regime. It's quite simple, really. And it uses hydrogen peroxide, which is cheap and very easy to get. So basically you just do 2 hydrogen peroxide baths, 4 tank transfers, 3 days apart, and I do 2 24-hour treatments with Prazi. I use API General Cure, which has got Prazi in it.
And are you using actual tanks or buckets?
I just bought glass tanks. They're I'm just going to make up some bullshit gallon figures because it means nothing. So I bought
in cricket balls, please.
It's like, yeah.
16 plums.
That's it, yeah. I bought a 6,000 gallon tank. No, I don't know. 20 gallon? I don't know.
Gotcha. Because I've heard
2 foot long
I've heard
tank.
from a sterilization, a cleanliness perspective, the buckets are easier to deal with because you don't have all the seams, the trim, the random nooks and crannies like you do in a tank. But I've never tried TTM, so again, just what I've read online.
I just bought very basic 8mm glass tank. There's no top or anything. Just black silicone, and in between the transfers, I hydrogen peroxide it out, and then I fill it with just cold tap water, and I put a shit ton of citric acid in it, and I leave it for 24 hours. And then I think the more important thing is after that, I make sure it's absolutely bone dry, so there's no moisture left anywhere in it. So
you had a system, 48 hours in one tank while you clean the other tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I can understand why people don't do it, to be honest, because you get for a lot of salt. Because even though they're only in there for like 72 hours at a time in between the transfers, depending on how many fish, like if I've got like 12 emptiers in that tank, I'm doing daily water changes, probably 50-60%, because I don't want any mariners to build up. I don't want any bacteria build up. So you burn through a lot of salt to do that. And when you've got something like that Achilles hangite, which came in at 10 inches, I had to put that in a 100-litre vat. So every day I'm like just chucking 70 litres of salt water down the drain and putting fresh in. So it
just for you do one fish at a time?
Depends on the size. I mean, yeah, generally, like the tangs, okay. I might do 2.
Yeah.
Anthers, I might do, like anthers, when you go to the shop, they normally do a deal, you get 10 for, it's a bit cheaper than if you buy them individually, but but most of the time 1 or 2 fish, or if it's a big fish, just the one, obviously.
Yeah.
And then how many transfers do you do over the period of 2 weeks?
4 transfers.
4 weeks?
Yeah, the process is 12 days long. Yeah. And then I slightly changed it when I started getting to the wrasse, because I killed some wrasse. I think I killed 3 tamarin wrasse. And I think it's because I didn't give them enough time when they first came in just to settle. So what I tend to do now with the wrasse is I just get them in and I give them 2 or 3 days in a tank, just to, no medication, nothing, just feed them. Just let them settle in, and then I start the transfer process, and that seems to have worked out better. That's the only change I've made, really.
And does a tank transfer work with fish that require a sand bed? I wonder how you manage that.
Yeah, with the wrasse, I just put a little pot of sand in, just like a little...
And then you toss it each time?
Yeah, I'll just chuck it away. Yeah.
In the bushes?
Yeah, just, over the neighbour's garden, bosh.
On the
in the neighbour's yard?
Sometimes.
Over the neighbour's yard?
They'd wrasse in there as well. You can have them as well.
Oh!
Fertilizer.
Oh, no.
Yes, I think that, for me, the quarantine part of it was easy, and the medication it's pretty simple. But what's difficult, I think, as a hobbyist, certainly for me, is we don't see enough disease in fish, like the manifestation of disease. So if someone shows me like a sore on the side of a fish, I haven't really got any experience to go, I know what that is. It could be urinema, it could be a bacterial infection, it could be, I think you only get that if you're doing it constantly and you see hundreds and hundreds of fish come through. I think as hobbyists, we just, unless it's classic ick or velvet or something, but there's a lot of other stuff, even flukes, internal parasites. It's difficult. So I've just, I hope by the end they come out the end clean, but I'm not experienced enough to go, yeah, I've nailed this, they're good. But
there's a handful of Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
No, sorry, on you go. On you go.
There's a handful of vendors here in the US that do the pre-quarantine fish online. Is there anything like that available for you guys over there? Or is everything you get wild caught, just whatever the LFS has?
I'm only aware of one which does QT, but it's a really small range of fish that they offer as well. So you can't get anything slightly kind of exotic. It's just, clownfish and chromis and, your bog standard sort of wrasse and stuff. I mean, it's probably about an hour and a half from where I live, and I've been over there and asked to get certain fish through, and they never came through with them. So, but as far as I know, it's proper rare for anyone in a shop environment to QT fish. I think at the end of the day, people don't want to pay the money, do they? That's the basics of it, Yeah. People moan about the price of fish already. So, if someone says a yellow tang at £200 is just astronomical, it's bollocks. And then you go, well, I've QT'd this one for £5. They're going to just attack you in the shop.
Paying double or triple for a $10 fish is one thing, but when it's a $200 fish, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've got, I can never remember the name of the shop. Is it Marine Keeper? Elliot Lim Place. Do you know that one? I don't know.
Marine Collectors, something like that.
Collectors? Yeah.
Great website, really interesting stock.
Yeah, so I don't know what those prices are like on there, because they offer fully QT'd and non-QT'd fish, I think. So
Is that the guy that was on Tidal Gardens a couple of weeks ago?
Yes. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I like him. He knows his stuff. It's good. But I don't know what the price differential is between normal, butterfly and a quarantined one, for example.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I can't look at anything other than Beth's dog.
Dog, yeah.
I'm honestly, I'm just absolutely look at it.
Ron,
look at it.
The dog jumps up and Ron's eyes light up like he's like.
Did you see it? Did you see it earlier? It was up. I'm so sorry.
Here comes Ripley. Come on. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Okay.
Hey, Ripley.
Hey, look.
Hello.
So what was?
Here, hold on. Let me put my earbud in his ear so he can hear you.
What was the inside British joke about Birmingham?
Oh no, the joke was he said if you're going anywhere that you might catch malaria, and I suggested just a city in the UK which you wouldn't catch malaria, but you might catch just about everything else. It was just a joke. I've got nothing against Birmingham, absolutely nothing. In fact, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just the first thing that sprung to my head because that's what the new Aqua 8 show is going to be in Stoneleigh.
Hand sanitizer before you touch your wood again. See, that's your problem.
You don't want to get splinters, Beth. Don't want to get splinters.
Is that what you call them over there?
Tiny pricks.
Splinters?
Yes.
Oh, tiny pricks. Okay. Got it.
So, Rob, your tank transfer method and medication is a serious commitment, I would say, way over and above your average marine hobbyist's grasp. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and clearly it's worked for you, and you had way more to lose with the size of your system, especially 2 or 3 fish down the line. You're then risking everything before that.
Yeah, and also I think it's the type of fish you put in as well, isn't it? I mean, you've got an Achilles tank sitting behind you, absolutely notorious.
Yeah.
So I think it also makes a difference what you want to put in your tank. So certain fish are just more difficult or more prone to disease than others. I mean, in my first tank, didn't do anything like everyone else, plop and drop, and it was a fucking disaster.
Well, from the get-go or eventually?
Pretty soon. I mean, I suffer, like most reefers do. You have a bit of success in the first 6 months, and you think, Jesus, this is easy. I've nailed this.
Yep.
And then you just go out.
I am the smartest reefer ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuss is. I'm going to go out and get a powder blue and Achilles and just chuck them in. What's going to go wrong? And what went wrong is everything fucking died.
You buy a black tang, you get white spot. It's a gem tang.
That's
When-
it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I've learned
yeah.
a lot by tumbling down Mount Stupid.
Yeah, I think we all do, and I think it's good actually because it just grounds you again. And I think the difference between a lot of people is don't repeat the same mistakes. That's the thing, isn't it? There's no point
Yeah.
having a learning lesson if you're not going to learn it. So my lesson was I can't trust the fish that come in from the stores. I need to quarantine them if I want those particular sort of fish. So that's what I did. And as you say, Ron, the more fish you get in, the more risk you have. Every last fish you're going, is this the one? Is this the ticking time bomb that's going to wipe everything out? And it makes it difficult to add more fish. But the other thing I like about QT is it's almost like a side issue. Is it physically makes you slow down when you want to add fish. Because if you've already got your QT, if your QT fish, if your Christ, I'm having a stroke. If your QT system is already at capacity with the fish, and you go in and see if you can't buy it because you just
it sure
can't.
changes.
Yeah,
It changes your perspective when going into fish stores. Like I remember the days where it was just like, oh, that looks like a cool fish. I'm going to get it. And now it's a thought process when you look at a fish.
yeah.
Oh, okay, if I do get this,
Yeah, it just
Can
makes
I?
you slow down and think, can I accommodate it? Yeah, is it good? Is it going to fit in with the rest? Yeah, rather than just going, I like that, I'll have it.
yeah.
And what is the timeline from beginning to end on that hybrid tank can transfer method? So, like, worst case, a sensitive fish, the most steps.
Well, it generally takes 12 days. That's
Okay.
pretty much. It's quite quick, really. But then at the end, you may want to do an extra observation. Like certain fish, like I find nasotangs are quite difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So they seem to have a lot of internal parasites, like nematodes and flatworms and stuff, gut parasites. They're quite difficult to get feed in sometimes. So I've done 2. I lost my first one, and the second one I just kept and put it in an observation tank. Just make sure. He's fine. Seems happy now, but yeah, they seem quite finicky, nasotangs.
They're my favourite fish.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
I love mine.
Achilles tang is absolutely gorgeous, right? It's my favourite fish to look at. And if I see one anywhere, I'm like, oh my God, this fish is just an absolute marvel in nature.
But to talk to, nasotang's your favourite.
Correct. To have a pint, it's a nasotang. It's just, it's the nature of it. It's just so friendly.
They are very
so friendly.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
You can hand feed them. And
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There's more of a connection with the nasotang.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, 'cause I feed mine by hand. My my soul tang as well, super friendly. But yeah, the Achilles is like, oh, I'm not coming near you, you twat. Bit
Yeah,
offish.
you're not catching an Achilles once it's in that
no.
tank.
No.
And the convicts?
Oh fucking hell!
Cunt. Fucking cunts.
I've got no words. It'd just be 15 minutes of me just fucking ranting, really. It's just, it's my oldest fish.
Why
as
did
well.
you make it through quarantine, you cunt?
Yeah. Do you know, I nearly killed it in quarantine actually because I treated it with Prazian, and you could really drop the oxygen level if you don't get enough movement in the water. And I forgot to turn the pump on, and I was looking at that convict tank, and he was on its side gasping. And I'm not lying. For a second, I thought I'll just fucking let it die. And then no.
You caused some brain damage, and now the thing's a fucking menace.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's like it. He goes, "Yeah, you like them yellow tanks, didn't you, Rob? I'm gonna fuck them up."
I am so glad you joined RAF, Rob. We are single-handedly going to ruin your YouTube reputation. He sits there so quiet and polite on his videos, and this week I've done this, and then on here is like, yeah,
Dude,
I am to fucking die.
I have anxiety that you're gonna fall down that fucking hole every time
I
you sit
know.
on that stool.
Yeah, I should video that because I have fallen down there twice.
No.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've got a cover, but I'm just lazy like everyone else, and I just don't. Yeah, and I'm cleaning the glass, and I just forget, and I fucking step
Oh
back.
my gosh.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So eventually, as I get older, at some point, there's going to be a video of me just fucking dead down the end of it. Tank maintenance week 204. Rob's dead.
Rob transfer method.
All the fish would be like staring down again.
God.
Convict will be laughing.
Yeah, convict will, yeah, be pissing at the top of the tank on me, probably.
Oh my god.
Oh, dear.
I'm dying over there. I can't.
Okay. Jason, what is your quarantine method?
Oh, it depends on the situation. Sometimes I go through a local fish store and I know the owner real well. And sometimes if there's something I want, I'll just get him to hold it for a couple of weeks and then, I'll bring it home. Sometimes if I order something online or something, I run it through what they call safety stop. It's a kind of a bath of, I guess it's formalin blue and methylene green for a 45-minute each dip. And then basically gut load their food with antibiotics like Vitachem one day, and every other day I put a little bit of Prozipro into the food as it thaws out. But here it's late, I haven't really bought any fish. All the fish I have to date, other than the clownfish and the Tamini Tang, have been given to me.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I did the same. That's one thing I didn't mention. I did the same thing when I was doing Metro in the food. I mixed a bunch of vitamins in to try and really get the fish healthy.
Yeah,
so that they could survive the stress.
Yeah, I would say back when I first started, when I've been keeping fish ever since I was a little kid, because I lived on the waters, on a saltwater estuary, so I could easily take things out of the river and put it in a fish tank. And then I started freshwater fish, really getting into fish. And then in the 80s, I started raising African cichlids. And then I started getting into saltwater fish more, like learning about the elements and all, basically chemistry. And then when I go to the fish store and get sick fish, the fish owner said, if you ever get any spots, dip them in fresh RO water. Just make sure you buffer the water with a little bit of baking soda to bring it up to the pH of your tank and the temperature, and then just dip them in the water for 5 minutes. And I've done that a few times back in the day. Now, this is back in the 80s and 90s, and you would see worms and flukes and everything drop off of fish like that. And I learned that by just dipping freshwater fish that would get ick into salt water, and that would knock the ick off of them. And then over years now, I
think that's old school. I used to do the same thing.
Yeah, and it still works. I mean, it's every once in a while. I mean, it's been years now, but say 4 years ago, I had a cold tang somebody give me, and it came down white spot, and I just dipped it in RO. Same thing, just drip it in fresh water for a few minutes, and then put it back in the tank, and it was fine. It lived fine. And I think it all goes to the health of the fish. If you have a healthy system, everybody's fat and healthy, and you put a sick fish in it and you feed it right, it'll become healthy as long as you feed it right and nobody picks on it. That's another thing in quarantine people really don't talk about is putting it in an isolation box. Certain fish need to be isolated because they're just territorial fin nippers.
I mean, some
when
fish
you go to
can
put
be
it, I was gonna say, when you go to your quarantine fish, when you go to put it in your tank, you need to put it in something to isolate it from another fish for a few days, so everybody kind of can smell the fear in it, and they get used to it. And over a few days, you just let it loose. And I've done that so many times and have no issues whatsoever.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah, normally my fish they end up killing themselves because of not lately, but I used to get them where they would get so big and then they're in a confined spot, just a territorial aggression, and they would end up killing each other. Something like that can bring on white spot and different diseases too.
Yeah, I do that with my copper band that I transfer from my frag tank to this tank. I can't just transfer it straight into this tank. I have to transfer it into, and it swims into my hand. I have to transfer it into an acclimation box, put it in this system for 2 days, then let him loose. He's actually back in the frag system. I don't know whether you've noticed. Annihilates the Aptasia. About a week later, back into my hand, into a jug, back into the frag tank. Unbelievable, but I cannot put him in this system. Just plop. I have to put him in a clear tram.
Who goes after him?
Yeah,
That's because
the Achilles.
Yeah,
Achilles.
Gonna say,
Achilles.
yeah.
the Achilles,
And then-
You ever try mirror?
It's the Achilles is probably the Achilles probably wants the whole tank to itself, is what it is.
Yeah, I think that this copper band is way bigger than the last one I had. The last one I had, the Achilles, and I'm not. This is going to sound like a lie. Could not have given two shits about the copper band. Didn't even look at it. This one is considerably larger, and it is not happy. But 2 days in the box, and then 25, 30 minutes in the tank, and eventually the Achilles.
So this
him.
would be another great discussion, is to talk about fish and to talk about like mixtures of fish. Like I know, because I do the same thing. Like I can't really add another tang into my tank, or the 4 I have will kill it. I added 2 to 2, and I took every precaution I could. 2 separate acclimation boxes, mirror, everything to get those fish distracted when the 2 new fish came in. And the thing that helped me the most was probably the mirror. The fish, especially my Coral Beauty. The Coral Beauty was so pissed off that it thought another Coral Beauty was in the tank that it kept going to the glass where the mirror was. And it was by far the most aggressive fish when the mirror got thrown up. And it's like, fuck, I don't think I can add a flame angel because this guy's a bastard. So
that's so
mirror never worked for me.
I cannot believe you had an aggressive Coral Beauty.
Yeah,
I've never ever seen that.
I had one. I had one that was a dick.
Really?
Yeah.
The Coral Beauty is totally fine with every other fish in my tank. I have 0 other angels. It's just the Coral Beauty. But when I put the mirror up and it thought another Coral Beauty was in that tank, it was fucking pissed. And it was like a sign to me, like, I'm not adding an angel because I don't want to risk that. Like, it's not worth it. The fish is fine. It's happy. I've got enough other fish. But it was pissed off that there was another Coral Beauty.
So
would it be fine with a flame angel? I don't know.
So is your Coral Beauty
bicolor? I don't know.
Is this
dwarf angels? You can't mix them.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the size of the tank and what you got in there.
Yeah. So there you go, size of the tank. Yeah. You got 1,000 gallons of dwarf angels, they'd be fine.
Yep, I had 4 in our shop system, which is 7 feet long. But so is the Coral Beauty the only central?
3,000 liters. What was that, Ron? 2,500 liters.
7 feet.
750 rugby balls.
950 cricket balls. 950 balls. Half a cricket ball and a third of a solo cup.
And it fucking stank like hell.
It went like stank. So, Jason, just before we move on to Beth, so you currently don't actually have a quarantine system set up?
No. no. Well, that little 20-gallon that you see me post on, that's basically my quarantine. The last fish I have is that little hippo tang that's in there, and that was given to me through the fish store because nobody wanted to buy it. It was the size of a dime, and everybody was scared they were going to kill it. And the owner just said, "Here, take this home with you." And the same with a lot of other fish I have. It's just like, "Here, take this home with you." And it just knows I'll take care of it. Like that little black belly nano gobian. I've had that thing for about 4 years now. I couldn't even see it in the corner of the baggie. He said, "But there's a fish in here." I took it home, and sure enough, it was like a grain of rice. And now it's about an inch long, and that's about full grown.
That's cool.
Basically, I just wait and just I wait it out and just by chance, healthy fish end up in my tank. They end up becoming tank shutdowns, and somebody's getting rid of something. And I'll try and get first dibs on it, I guess you would say, or basically just give it to me.
I like that. That is a great way to reach.
I just got to go with one of the local fish store owners, and I go by and help him out from time to time because he's kind of young and he kind of understands. I know a little bit about the hobby and stuff and how everything works. And so I'll do a little bit of work around there, and he'll give me a little piece of coral and little fish that, he's like, "Here, take this sick fish home and make it better again." And I'll do that. Like in my 100-gallon, I've got a Melanoris wrasse that come out of a fish tank that you couldn't even see the fish because of the hair algae was growing from, it was a 50-gallon, probably 20 inches tall. And the hair algae went from the bottom to the top. It had zoanthids that were 6 inches long trying to grow to the light.
Reef merkin.
It's crazy. And I just remember draining the tank, and there was a trigger fish in there, a Niger trigger, and they thought it had died 3 months ago.
The fuck?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Where was this? Did you say this is a store?
No. This is at a residence where they're breaking down their tank, and I would go help the local fish store owner break them down. And he would say, "Hey, do you want this fish?" And I'd be like, "No." Or, "Do you want this?" "No." And then every once in a while I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll take that fish home." But a lot of times, if I order something, I'll bring it home and put it through the safety stop for, about a couple of weeks, and then I'll figure out what tank I want to put it in. But normally I just let him sit at the fish store for a couple of weeks. When he brings fish in, it's something I like. If it lives for a couple of weeks and it's healthy, I'll bring it home. If it doesn't live, I just keep on waiting for another few months or a year until it's something I really want, because this hobby's not going anywhere, and it's just patience.
I do the same. If I go to the store that I like, how long have you had this fish? Mm-hmm. Is it eating? Is it eating frozen, or is it only eating your pods? Because that's going to tell you how difficult it is going to be to acclimate it to your system.
That's it.
He's got the fish for 2 days. It's like Rob said, like, you go and you see a fish you like, but now you think about it. So, okay, how long have you had it? What if it causes you to be patient?
Yep.
And also, I think it's experience. So looking at fish over the years, you can kind of tell healthy fish from sick fish. If they're all sunk in and emaciated, then you probably don't want that fish. But if he's all big and fat and chunky, he's probably a good little fish to take home.
I saw powder brown at a local fish store here. That thing was as thin as a piece of paper. And I was like, and they had it listed for full price. And I'm like, man, why aren't you giving that fish away to somebody who's going to try and save it? Because you're killing the fucking thing. Like, that thing is going to die. Yeah, $145 for a fish that you got a 10% chance of saving.
That'd be cheap to post, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to Beth, who has had a little bit of a stressful 24 hours.
Yeah, let's not.
No, how is your situation?
Not.
How's your situation?
It's still empty. I'm actually heading up to Zach's here in a little bit to get some plumbing parts to try and rectify this fuck up. So, anyways,
Anger.
I think the topic is quarantine, right? We're not talking about my fuck up right now.
Let's quarantine your fuck up.
Yeah, right. There you go. Thank you.
We can come back to that in 12 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you deal with quarantine, Beth?
Well, a lot has changed with that in the last year and a half. I started with my 90 and I was not quarantining anything. And I ended up rescaping because I had just a massive wall and I hated it. And so I tore down my scape and I had all this extra rock that I'm like, I'm not going to use this. So I ended up trading it for a fellow reefer who had a friend, from downstate who was bringing up some fish. And he said, well, I'll trade you all that rock, because he was going to set up a tank. He was going to trade me all this rock for a purple tang. And I had wanted a purple tang so badly. And so I said, okay. He delivered it on a Friday night at like 9:00 p.m. And it was in a blue bag. And so I'm floating it in my tank and I'm looking in the bag and I'm like shining the light and I'm like, oh my God, that's a spot. And then it would move. And then I'm like, okay, no, it's just shit. And then, there's another spot. And I was seeing things and then I thought it was ick. And so I'm like, well, whatever. I don't have an option because I don't have anything available to set up a quarantine tank. So I released it into my tank and sure enough, it had ick and pretty much lost all of my fish, but 3 in like 48 hours, except the purple tang. Oddly enough. So going forward, then I'm like, okay, I need to go get a quarantine. So literally the next day I went up and I spent hundreds of dollars on a whole setup, a 29-gallon tank. I did all the things that I thought I knew what I was doing, but it was just a guessing game. And so I ended up through the quarantine process. I went through 3 convict tanks, ended up giving up on those. Lost jawfish. I lost Banggai cardinals. I mean, I lost it. Pretty much everything I put into that tank, I lost. So I think the final straw was my blonde naso. I lost the first one and I was just devastated. And so I said, fuck this. I'm just going to put the fish in the tank. And so that's what I've done so far on the 210. And then I'm pretty much done adding fish into the 210. And so I will say, I feel I did get very, very lucky. As my aquabiomics test just came back and I have no fish or coral pathogens in the results. So I think I'm going to call it done with fish in there. And as far as this new tank, I've got a couple fish and actually 2 of them Zach's had them for like a year. So I'm going to go with try to be safe going forward with what I put in there. So I no longer quarantine and I just don't see it in my near future. It was just, I just hated killing all the fish. It killed me. Every time I go in there's a fish dead, and I'm like, fuck, forget the money that I was throwing away. I felt horrible because I was just killing these creatures, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I just hope for the best after that.
YOLO.
And I really, yeah, exactly. And I really limited, as far as the issues I could run into. I literally only stocked all these fish. 2 fish came from Biota, and the rest either came from Zach or my other local fish store that I've known for 20 years. So I don't order online. I don't trade my friends anymore. I only keep it between Zach and Kevin. So, and they both keep pretty healthy fish. So that's pretty much my quarantine process. I have none.
It's so interesting how similar to begin with, everybody's start in the hobby. Everybody seems to start the same. Everybody risks colossal explosion, and then we try and discover proper quarantine protocols, and then that kills loads of fish, so that puts us off quarantining. It is genuinely a stupid fucking hobby.
Yeah.
Really
I managed to keep two fish, so two fish that were on the verge of death from the 90-gallon. I still have in the 210-gallon, and it's a yellow belly blue hippo tang and a Banggai cardinal fish. And that Banggai cardinal fish is a fucking prick to everybody. Like, he's like, I survived the worst. He goes, fuck you all.
I've seen some stuff. I've seen some
He's
things.
so mean. He is so mean.
I wouldn't
The only
recommend
fish that chases, the only fish that chases my my female leopard wrasse that I just got. My black leopard wrasse doesn't even bother the female leopard wrasse, but the Banggai cardinal, if that wrasse enters the right side of the tank, he is on her like shit on stink. I mean, it's horrible. He's so mean.
It's funny when I started in this hobby that people told me not to buy a hippo tang based on the fact that they're ick magnets and they've got a really high mortality rate. I have one in the shop now that I had in my very first fish tank. It's still alive and it has been through every single temperature fuck up, velvet, white spot, everything. It has survived all of it. Now it looks like a pile of shit. It is the ugliest fish you have ever seen. It's barely even blue now. It's got it's just this floating blob with an eye. And but it has gone through everything.
That was
looks
one
like
thing
a Scottish reefer. Fucking
I will say after all of that, I did because I realized I'm like, all right, I'm just done quarantining. So now I have to decide, or I have to try and do everything I can for these fish to give them a fighting chance and, to keep my tank healthy. And so I got a UV sterilizer. I feed high quality foods. I put, Celcon in their food. So I mean, I guess I'm trying to do everything I can going forward to keep them healthy since I'm not able or feel comfortable with doing quarantine prior to putting them in the tank. So everybody's healthy and happy and they pretty much get along. I mean, their colors, my blue hippo tang, I mean, he's never been bluer. I mean, even when I got him, he's brighter now and they're just all so active. So that makes me feel a little bit better that I can at least give them a chance going forward. So and so far it's proven to work out. So let's just hope that continues.
Food soaks have definitely been a huge thing for me with fish health, especially with HLLE and tangs. I had a purple tang with the most awful facial. I mean, I'm not painting a good picture of fish here, am I? But we had a member of staff here actually that walked by my quarantine tank, and the purple tang was in there, and she's like, "What is that? That's the ugliest fish I've ever seen." 2 months of Celcon, and what's the sea chem soap called? Is it Vitality?
Oh, it's
Vitality. 2 months of that, fully healed, beautiful coloration, straight into the shop.
Did you buy them like that then?
Are you saying, Rob?
Is that how you bought? Did you buy it like that with HLE, or did you?
No.
He spread it to him. He gave it to him.
Well, when I bought that tang, I didn't realize how susceptible tangs were to HLLE with too much carbon. I was using a really cheap carbon. I got a it wasn't 25 kilos of carbon, obviously. That would be like the size of this fucking house. It was like a big 25-litre bag of carbon, and the pellets were really big, and I didn't realize it was really, really poor quality. And I just filled a reactor.
Fucking charcoal?
Yeah, well, yeah. And
it's like emptying the grate from the fire. Fuck it, I do.
It's for briquettes.
So,
anything that's black, just pour it in. But yeah,
so do you still run carbon? You still run it, do you?
Nope,
Carbon?
I don't run carbon at all in any system at all anymore. I will be briefly running it on these two systems now that I'm just about finished the mobomycin treatment. Just to completely strip it, because the automatic water changes are going to start again tomorrow. I'll do huge ones of them for a week, run carbon for 2 or 3 days just to strip it, because the skimmers are still going absolutely nuts. I mean, they're still running. They're overflowing into the cup, going down the hose straight back in. But obviously my nutrients are starting to go up now. So, but UV's back on today. But yeah, anyway, so it was poor quality carbon, and I had no idea that is what had caused it in tanks, because I actually used it on my frag tank as well for a couple of weeks, just to polish the water slightly. And my Naso, my coal, and my clown tang all started showing signs of HLLE, and that's when I went, 100% it's the carbon.
Yeah.
It's the carbon.
They're like knocking on the glass going, see that fucking guy over there? You're doing it to us now.
I always read that there were mixed reviews on the carbon causing the HLLE. Some people said yes, other people was like, nah, that's a myth. It's not proven. I've never, ever ran carbon in either of my tanks, ever. I've never really needed to.
From what
I run carbon,
led to believe, it's just quality of carbon. So the Red Sea, which is actually really tiny particles in comparison to a lot of the other ones, I didn't find that gave HLLE, and I also have never got HLLE running the CChem version, which is it's black beads as opposed to wee noodles. But this wholesale huge big bag that I got was awful, really bad. So you do get a forward carbon, in my opinion.
Kohler Labs. I use Kohler Labs, and I run it all the time, and I run it into a filter sock that I change every couple months, just so that carbon doesn't build up in it. But I always run carbon.
Yeah, so
I use marine land.
Marine land, I use
what I use. Yeah,
Kohler
Labs.
Labs.
2 to 3 days.
it
Is
was
that
your.
just
When I
for
rinse-
water clarity? Is that why you're running it? For water clarity? Or
Yeah, I don't run UV anymore,
right.
so I just run carbon just to pull out some of the for the water clarity.
Yeah. Okay.
Change it once a month.
I've never run it.
If you're running UV or ozone or other stuff to clear it, I mean, yeah, like Ron said, it can pull out some stuff out of the water too.
That's why I don't use it anymore. It's not because of the HLLE, because I did find that higher quality carbon didn't cause that, but it takes out too much good stuff. And I'm now reading up on it a wee bit, and actually speaking to a coral seller here in the UK. He ran through his processes. I ran through mine, and he said, "Oh no! Stop using the carbon. If you're dosing your trace elements, the tropic marin,
just putting it straight
you're
out.
just pulling it straight back out."
Yeah, stripping it right back out.
But I had no idea. No idea.
Yeah, I run it for. Yeah, I would say if you have like on my my Apex, you can actually watch your ORP. If some people watch that trend, I watch my trend when I use carbon. You actually see after 3 days it's spent. And I run it about once a month, or when I start noticing yellowing in the water. But I have a few soft corals, and it helps keep some of the, as they slime off and strip off and shed, it kind of keeps some of that chemical reaction down.
I heard that true. Like if you're trying to run toadstools with SPS, running the carbon's good, because those toadstools excrete shit that will kill the SPS.
Really? That's new. I did not know that.
Allelopathy?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
That's it.
Ron.
Yeah, lillipathy. Yeah.
Got your doctor's badge on.
I can't find it. I can't find it. I don't know.
He's experting on the live stream.
It's genuinely hilarious how much I've actually absorbed in the hobby, but I'm not prepared to admit it. I would rather just call myself a mutant, and therefore nobody can attack me.
Yeah.
We're fuckers.
There was one
They'll
time.
find some reason to attack you.
Oh, of course. I think it was on the spawning chat with Dr. Mike B we did, and he was talking about the layer of tissue within the coral that transports nutrients, and I'm like, Cenosarc It's the Cenotharch. I know it's the Cenotharch. And I sat in complete silence, and he eventually said it, and I went, oh, fucking shit. It's so satisfying to know something. I was, oh my God, yes. Yes, Ron.
You're getting this.
Ask me to count to 10, though. 1, 2, 3, lots.
Oh God.
So we're nearly at the hour and a half. Does anybody have anything else on the subject of fish quarantine they want to talk about? So I just want to clear up my fish quarantine system, which is, it's not a fish quarantine system anymore. It's a coral overspill. I happened to get a couple of fish a couple of weeks ago, and the only reason why I got it is because I have been waiting to get a biota yellow tang for about 18 months, and eventually my wholesaler said, I've got 3 coming in, do you want one? I was like, you know what? I really do want one, because that was the first fish I ever had in the saltwater hobby, and I absolutely adored it. So that's the only reason why it actually happened. I wasn't actually in the market for fish, and I potentially should have said no to it, but with it being a biota yellow tang and coming from the wholesaler now that I have never, ever had a sick fish from, I rolled the dice on
Grab
it.
some wood.
Yes.
Grab some wood.
Grab some wood.
We've got so many sayings to go in the back of t-shirts, by the way.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Although there's going to be 2 versions of SFH now. So there's the stupid fucking hobby and super fucking horny. Rob, I wish you'd said that before I had your t-shirt made. You'd be walking into your LFS sporting Reefy stuck in the front and super horny on the back.
And it's no lie.
You'd have to put it like one of those like piers in the like with a little bit of heat, so he'd never really know it was there. And then as soon as he
Do you remember those t-shirts? Do you remember those t-shirts? They were called Global Technicolor or something here. Global Hypercolor they were called. And the sweatier
Hypercolor,
you got,
yeah.
the more the t-shirt
Body
changed.
heat, yeah.
What?
That just
If I wore one of
that
them
shows
right
how
now,
that shows how old we are.
I would just have these bits going pink.
Oh my God. I've never.
I got one last thing. Who quarantines their cleanup crew?
I put
What?
all of my snails. I the only cleanup crew I actually had.
Of course,
I don't have
Ron.
crabs at all anymore. But I throw them in my quarantine tank, and then
Yeah. I keep in mine as well, actually.
yeah. But I only buy snails. I don't buy anything else anymore.
Shrimps are quite easy. What I do with shrimps, if you whack them in fresh salt water, they tend to shed within 24, 48 hours. And then
Oh,
anything
good
that's
idea.
on that exoskeleton's gone, and then they're good to go. So I don't know.
That would be so,
you're so
super
smart.
handy, wouldn't it? If you could just take your skin off when you weren't happy
And
with
now
it.
Yeah.
so Ron, if
asking.
you quarantine your cleanup crew, I mean, it's supposed to be really easy to quarantine a cleanup crew because you just put them in a fishless system. But if you throw them in a tank with fish, whatever parasites they're carrying, they can.
Exactly,
You
but
never
that
really-
then shows me
Vice
whether
versa.
they're carrying anything. So I've got these 2 clowns that have been in there. I cannot remember how long they've been in there, and they are my canaries in the coal mine.
You know the trouble with that? I don't want to just put a knife into your ideas or anything, but
We left the vibrator on.
there are a lot of asymptomatic fish, so that could carry the disease and
Oh.
display absolutely no signs. So your clowns could be fucking riddled.
Yep. The
And look
Mutant.
perfectly healthy.
filthy
You got-
clowns.
You got mutant clowns.
And of course, they're so sociable because they're always hosting.
Ron's got the most hosting clowns here.
COVID.
Okay, all right. So speaking, let's just. I want to talk about that for a second. So yes, I realize the anemone hosts the clowns, right? So what happens when your clowns choose a coral to do whatever they do? And then what do you call it? I mean, because like I have a colony of
coral.
The
Hosting.
coral is hosting the clowns.
but the coral doesn't have a say, and my coral looks very fucking unhappy that the clownfish are in him.
Are you
So-
are you questioning the word host in relation to what?
Yeah,
I
that's a parasite clown now.
Okay, so I've got two. I got a male and a female that are just fucking the shit out of my trumpet colony, and it's pissed. And I'm just afraid that it's gonna the clowns are gonna get scratched on the skeleton because it's receding, you know. And then what?
Well, is it the clowns are hosting the?
Well, I'm afraid to say it, but yes.
No,
No,
I'm-
No.
Yeah,
No.
that's right. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
might get
Yeah.
attacked.
yeah.
Well,
I don't know. What do you,
Ron, come
I
on,
don't-
clarify. You're the leader of the pack here.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fucker.
the hosting is not changing. The coral is hosting the fish.
but not willingly.
That
My-
doesn't change the fact
But
that
that
it's
doesn't
hosting.
change the fact
I
my
turned
Duncan
on-
hosts
Stop.
my clowns all the time.
All right, got it. Next topic. Let's go. Let's move on.
And if the clowns get fucked up because of the Duncan, well, that was on the clowns. Fuck you, bastard.
Not funny anymore, is it?
Maybe your clowns are super fucking horny.
They are. I
Common.
mean,
SFH, fucking
Stay-
clowns.
Stay away from the circus, people. Those
maybe I should just keep it in the bedroom from now on. They've been watching.
I'm now wondering where the trumpet comes in. Anyway,
Where's Brandon?
I
Brandon?
can answer that. Do you want me to answer that?
no. Right.
Okay, anyway.
Does anybody have any other discussions on quarantine they wish to talk about before we wrap it up? Because the next one,
Wrap it.
hopefully, if Mike being up for it, will be on. For fuck's sake.
Who keeps vibrating?
I think my money's on Jason. I think Jason keeps
Yeah,
getting
I
text
just plugged
messages.
my phone into charge.
Okay.
Tinder
Over
is,
and over again.
Tinder is popping off.
Well, it's overheating.
Tinder's overheating.
Okay.
That's just a full blown fire now. Right, I don't care if anyone has anything else to talk about quarantining. We are done.
We're done.
So thank you so much to everybody for clearing some time on your valuable. Is this a Saturday or a Sunday?
This is Sunday.
Sunday.
Next time we will be talking about coral quarantine, which should be very interesting. And then Jim has suggested just a general fish discussion on species cohabiting and things like that, which I think is a really, really good idea.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Anyway, thank you so much for joining every people. Until next time. Bye.
Later.
Everybody.